Have you ever wondered if you're truly wise? And if so, what exactly defines wisdom? Is it the number of books you've read or the experiences you've gathered over time? The truth is, wisdom isn't about external accomplishments. It's about how we live, how we think, and how we treat others. According to Stoic philosophy, foolishness isn't just about lacking intelligence. It's about failing to live in alignment with reason and virtue. So let's dive into 6 signs of a foolish woman, not to judge others, but to reflect on ourselves and enhance our lives. Let's begin. Sign 1. Prioritizing appearance over character. Let's be real for a second. We've all met someone who looks perfect on the outside. Flawless makeup, stylish clothes, an Instagram feed that could make anyone jealous. At first glance, they seem confident, put together, maybe even inspiring. But here's the catch. When you look closer, there's not much depth beneath the surface. Their energy is entirely focused on how they look, not on who they are. The Stoics would say this is a clear sign of foolishness. Why? Because true value comes from your character, your soul, and your virtues, not how you appear to the outside world. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, put it perfectly. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. In other words, it's who you are on the inside that matters most. Now, don't get me wrong. Taking care of your appearance can show self-respect. But when you place all your worth in something as temporary as physical beauty, you're setting yourself up for insecurity. After all, beauty fades, and so does youth. What remains is your character, your wisdom, your kindness. The Stoics would encourage you to shift your focus from outer beauty to inner beauty. Are you living with integrity? Are you growing into the best version of yourself? Those are the things that endure. So next time you catch yourself obsessing over how you look, pause and ask, what kind of person am I becoming? Because at the end of the day, your character will always matter far more than your appearance. Sign 2. Ignoring self-responsibility. Let's face it, taking responsibility for our actions isn't always easy. It's way more comfortable to point fingers and blame someone or something else when things go wrong. But here's the reality. Avoiding responsibility is a sign of foolishness. The Stoics would argue that when we refuse to take responsibility for our actions, we're giving away our power to change, grow, and improve. Instead of taking charge of our lives, we're trapped in a victim mentality. Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, had a powerful lesson. We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. In other words, life might throw curveballs, but we always have the ability to decide how we react. Think about it. If you're struggling at work or in a relationship, sure, external factors may play a role, but what can you control? Are you putting in the effort to improve your skills, to handle the situation with patience, and to show up every day with the right attitude? Or are you stuck blaming others for your problems? The Stoics believe that personal accountability is liberating. When you take responsibility for your actions, you reclaim control over your life. You stop waiting for someone else to fix your problems. The power to change is in your hands. So the next time you're tempted to blame others or make excuses, ask yourself, what can I do differently to improve the situation? Taking responsibility might be tough, but it's one of the most powerful steps you can take toward wisdom and personal growth. Sign 3. Overvaluing others' opinions. It's so easy to get caught up in what other people think, especially in today's world where everyone's opinions are so easily accessible. You post something on social media, and suddenly you're checking how many likes you got or who commented. You wonder, what will people think about me? But here's the thing, living for the approval of others is a surefire way to lose yourself. The Stoics would say that overvaluing others' opinions is a clear sign of foolishness. Why? Because when we let other people's judgments control how we see ourselves, we stop living according to our own values and principles. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said something that really makes you think. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Think about that for a moment. You spend every day with yourself, through successes, failures, and everything in between. Yet we let the opinions of people who don't truly know us dictate how we feel about ourselves. That's where the trap lies. The Stoics teach us that true wisdom comes from living in alignment with our own values, not from seeking approval from others. You can't control what people think about you, but you can control how you think about yourself. Instead of asking, "What will they think?" ask yourself, "What aligns with my values?" When you stop seeking validation from others, you free yourself from the exhausting cycle of trying to please everyone. So the next time you're worried about what others think, take a step back and ask yourself, why does their opinion matter to me? Shift your focus from external approval to internal integrity. Your worth isn't determined by anyone else's judgment. It's something you define for yourself. Sign 4, emotional instability and overreaction. We've all been there. Small disagreements that suddenly turn into full-blown arguments or moments where a minor inconvenience completely derails our day. It's easy to get caught up in those emotional highs and lows, but letting your emotions control you is a sign of foolishness. The Stoics believe that while emotions are natural, overreacting or letting them dictate your actions is a failure to live rationally. Seneca, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, said, "A man is as unhappy as he has convinced himself he is." In other words, much of our suffering doesn't come from the actual situation, but from how we choose to react to it. Think about it. How often do we let frustration or anger take the wheel and guide us into making decisions we later regret? The Stoics didn't teach us to suppress our emotions or pretend they don't exist. It's not about ignoring how we feel, but about mastering how we respond. Instead of reacting impulsively, they encouraged us to pause, reflect, and choose a response that aligns with reason and virtue. Why is this so important? Because emotional instability clouds your judgment. When you overreact, you're more likely to say things you don't mean, hurt others, or escalate a situation unnecessarily. Not to mention, it can damage your relationships and reputation. Here's how you can start practicing emotional stability. When you feel those emotions bubbling up, take a deep breath and pause before responding. Ask yourself, is this really worth getting upset over? More often than not, the answer is no. Focus on what you can control: your mindset, your actions, and your perspective. Mastering your response rather than letting your emotions dictate it is one of the most powerful tools you can have. It's not about never feeling, but about choosing how to act even when emotions run high. So the next time you feel yourself on the verge of overreacting, stop and ask, am I in control of my emotions, or are they controlling me? Sign 5, materialism and greed. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that the more stuff you have, the happier you'll be. Maybe it's a new car, a bigger house, or the latest tech gadget. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to want more. But here's the reality check. Materialism and greed are signs of foolishness. The Stoics taught that true fulfillment comes from within, not from accumulating more things or seeking external validation. Think about it. Material possessions are temporary. They might give you a temporary thrill, but that feeling fades quickly. The more you chase material wealth, the more you're trapped by it. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, said it perfectly. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. The more you focus on acquiring things, the more you'll find yourself wanting even more. It's a never-ending cycle that will never bring lasting happiness. What really matters, according to Stoicism, is contentment with what you already have. True wealth doesn't come from your bank account or the designer items in your closet. It comes from peace of mind, meaningful relationships, and a life lived with purpose. The Stoics even practiced what they called voluntary discomfort, intentionally going without luxuries to remind themselves that they didn't need anything extra to thrive. So ask yourself, am I living in alignment with my values, or am I chasing things that will never bring true happiness? The Stoics remind us that simplicity is freedom. When you stop measuring your worth by what you own, you free yourself from the endless pursuit of material gain and focus on what really matters: your growth, your relationships, and your inner peace. Sign 6, avoiding self-reflection and growth. Let's be honest, facing our own flaws can be tough. It's so much easier to ignore the things we don't like about ourselves or distract ourselves with entertainment. But here's the catch. Avoiding self-reflection is one of the greatest obstacles to wisdom. The Stoics believe that in order to live a virtuous life, you have to constantly evaluate yourself, learn from your mistakes, and strive to be better. Growth doesn't come from avoiding discomfort. It comes from facing it head-on. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, practiced self-reflection every night. He'd ask himself, what did I do well today? What could I have done better? Where did I fall short of my values? This wasn't about beating himself up. It was about learning and growing. Self-reflection is how you align your actions with your values and how you get closer to becoming the person you want to be. Without it, you stay stuck, repeating the same mistakes over and over without making any progress. The Stoics would say that avoiding self-reflection is like staying in quicksand. You might be moving, but you're not really going anywhere. You keep making the same mistakes, living in the same patterns, and wondering why things never change. True wisdom comes from taking a hard, honest look at yourself and having the courage to make changes. So how do you start practicing self-reflection? Try journaling at the end of each day. Reflect on your actions and ask yourself, what went well? What could I have done differently? You could also take short pauses during the day to check in with yourself. Are my actions aligned with my values right now? And don't be afraid to ask for feedback from others. Sometimes we can't see our own blind spots. Remember, self-reflection isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about becoming a better version of yourself, one step at a time. And even though it might be uncomfortable, that's where real transformation begins. So take a moment to look inward and embrace the growth that's waiting for you. So we've explored the 6 signs of a foolish woman through the lens of Stoic wisdom. But remember, these signs aren't about judging others. They're about self-reflection, recognizing our own weaknesses, and striving to improve ourselves. Wisdom is a journey, not a destination, and every step along the way matters. The good news is, you have the power to change and grow, and self-awareness is the key to living a meaningful life. If you found this article helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the Stoic Beacon on YouTube to continue your journey of exploring Stoic philosophy and elevating your mindset.